Call the office at 572-0383 or 572-0215. Rev-Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
Hi, this is Lotus. Join me every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Rev-Up St. Lucia for Unrestricted. What we don't talk about, what we should talk about, and what we will be talking about. Don't forget to join me every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Rev-Up St. Lucia for Unrestricted.
It's now time for Unrestricted, live on Rev-Up St. Lucia 95.9 FM, hosted by the lovely Lotus. Lotus, good morning to you.
Good morning, Andre. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Diaspora. Good morning, St. Lucia. All around the world. X, YouTube, Facebook. You like to say online.
That's right.
And we're sorry that FM is being affected in certain in
the north.
Andre? In the north, yes. So I hope we can just tune in on everything else to listen this morning.
Because now people have loads of options.
Oh yes,
loads,
Andre.
but we are just creatures of habit. And once we're used to something,
yes,
it's hard
but I think it's going out
break away from it.
There'll become a time when you know everybody will be in their phones, their smartphones, their computers. You know what I mean? So very soon, hopefully. Well, welcome to Unrestricted, everyone. Post elections.
How was your election day? How did that go for you?
Andre, it was kind of almost upsetting because my offspring, we woke up very early, and a good thing I had checked before. They had made a mistake with my name. So they put me in a totally different polling division, and I didn't want to drive to that location because I was like, that's so far from where I live. So I had gone down already. They said they had corrected it, and lo and behold, it was not corrected. So when we went down to do, to exercise our franchise, my children went in scot-free, nicely. They voted by 7 o'clock. They had already voted. They were excited. You should see them. They were so happy to have that ink on their finger. And I stood there like a denier. They couldn't find my name. They couldn't find my name there. They couldn't find my name in the closest to that one. So I had to drive to another location where the mistake was left. So, and then at the back of it, Andrew, when I got there, my last name, which is V, so the line is normally short, they put it on my maiden name, so C, I had to take a long line. So I was really not happy. But you know what, it was, I wanted to exercise my right, so I waited. So it took me about a whole two plus hours to vote, but I did that. And
okay,
Andre, I was excited about listening and the discussions and everything. I bask in those things. I love it.
Yes, so do I.
So my radio, my TV, everything. I was just glued on, and I was very impressed with the level of discussion and the inclusion of women in the discussion, because a lot of times you find a lot of men sitting at the table, but I was happy with the representation of women and how they really spoke up, and so it was nice. It was really nice listening to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think the GIS panel included one female.
Which one?
I think Risa.
That's the one. I found that was so. Risa held her own. I was so happy. I was like, yes, because so it was really good. It was good.
And she was going back and forth with the Creole.
Of course, yes, and I like that. And I think people were able to also understand. Like you say, some people do not speak the Creole, and we want everybody to understand. So it was nice. It was nice, Andre. The people have spoken, Andre, very loudly.
Yes.
And I think one of the things I saw on somebody's post that I found very interesting and is very true, when the people have spoken so loudly, it's also very scary, because it means that you have to deliver. To whom much is given, much is expected. So it's not always, yay, we win. It's, it's a lot of pressure on you. So
pressure before the election, pressure during, and pressure after.
So
I just want to make one little comment. I understand what the producers were trying to do by trying to have the Creole element, but you realize it was actually drowned. Right? And that's for a very, very good reason. You have the results are coming in fast and furious.
Of course.
So, the presenters, they cannot wait
Yes.
for you to now
Yes.
repeat something in Creole.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest moving forward, I would suggest having a separate panel, right, for
Yeah.
Creole.
I think that's a fantastic idea,
Yes.
Andre, because you're very right. The first part of it, there was a lot of chaos because the information was coming in so quickly, and I saw that, and it seems that there were the organization in terms of who's going to say the box, who's going to say the poll, who's gonna,
Exactly.
so it looked like, and everybody. I mean, and if you have first timers on the panel, you do have that kind of
Good
back and
point.
forth.
Yeah,
Yes,
the first-timers.
I did see that.
Yes.
But I found that when it's settled and the scores were practically in, the discussion after, where you didn't have to focus on the boxes or the results coming in, that was tremendous. Because
think, yeah.
then you got people to really express how they felt about the campaigning, the what do you call them? The opponents, the incumbents, just the discussion about social justice, everything. I found they touch a bit of everything, and I really like that. And the expressions of also opinion, which is sometimes stifled because we feel uneasy to say. I found it was a very clear, it was a very open discussion, and I enjoyed that.
But as I said, the Creole got drowned.
But yes, I agree with
and
you.
I think the next time we have
agree with
elections, if we're going to be doing that,
Yes.
we should have a separate team.
To
Because the
really-
team could have access to the results.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And that's a separate a separate broadcast.
That's right. That's
and
right.
I think it would garner a lot of viewers actually.
How you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Because, some people actually still, Andre, a lot of people don't speak, English properly or even understand it. They speak Creole a lot. So if you have that, then you have people breaking down the information, and really you have older people understanding too. One of the things I noticed, Andre, is that there were a lot of senior citizens, like they really came out, right?
Yes.
The senior citizens
you see
came out
them?
to vote. Andre, I was so upset on my line because for a while the line was not moving. And St. Lucian, sometimes we speak loud in the polls, but we don't speak individually sometimes when something is going on. So I went up to the front and I said, "Excuse me, what is going on? The line doesn't seem to be moving. Everybody other lines are moving. Mine is not moving. What's happening?" And she said, "Oh, we have quite a few senior citizens, to deal with." And I said, "Oh, okay. I am assuming that they still can get in and get out, so that the line can, begin to move." Anyway, they were very nice, very patient. People were patient. Some people were getting frustrated, but senior citizens came out, Andre. I was like, wow. There were people that looked like they were 105.
Yes.
They were there.
It reminded me, honestly, of in South Africa when the minority white rule was over, and now black people had the opportunity to vote for the first time in South Africa.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes, people came
out. A lot
out.
of old people,
Yeah, man.
I mean, people
Because
on
people
wheelchairs and
because we
canes.
forget that they have their own ideas as well, and they have heirs, and they are also educated. Sometimes we forget that quite a few senior citizens, they are educated, they listen, they hear, so they have a voice as well.
Of course.
Sometimes we ignore them because we figure, okay, they once you're over 80 or over 90, you do not have a contribution to make. But people brought them in, their children brought them in. I mean, I saw children with their fathers and mothers bringing them to vote. So, that was something. It was really interesting.
Yes, I hadn't seen that in a while.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. I noted that, and I thought, wow, isn't this something?
Yeah,
But I
think-
was also very impressed with the conduct of people who came to vote. From what I saw, no trouble. People were not quarreling. People were not, there were one or two people in between, that would make certain statements. But generally, people were very peaceful. It was so nice to see people come together to do that in harmony. And I think now, going forward, people have to be, come together, because, I mean, that's the only thing that's going to make a lot of things work.
That's right.
So
I agree
I'm
with you.
excited to see that. Anyway, Andre, so we're not having an election show. So let's talk about, I think you're going to like the topic this morning, because I think post-elections, it's not an election topic, but I think we all can, take from that. And this morning I want to talk about keeping your word, keeping promises.
Oh, that's a big one.
And in a 2023 Forbes article by Ashley Style, she's a former contributor of Forbes, she speaks of keeping your word and when you make promises, you have to keep them. Andrea, how many times you hear people call people bobolis? Oh, you know what I mean? We even have a song. I think there's a song about
Bobo
if you want
list,
to be on the Bobo list.
Yes.
I mean, many people, they say things in the heat of the moment, or they just to dismiss you, or, there's many reasons, a myriad of reasons why people just make promises like just so, or they tell you things and they really don't keep their word.
Or they tell you what they think you want to hear.
They think you want to hear.
Or they know what you want to hear.
And the thing about it is that the flip side is many times we rely on those promises. How many times you've loaned, someone money, and then they say they're going to pay you back. They promise to pay you back in a month, and you have made plans to receive that money, and they never say anything. There's no communication. There's no contact. They just wouldn't say anything or tell you, or just don't keep their promise. And I think what's happening now is we feel so comfortable, we are normalizing not keeping our words.
As you said that, Lotus, my mind just raced back probably to about 30 years ago.
Wow.
About 30 years ago.
I like how I trigger you sometimes. Tell me, Andre.
I was on Monjiro. In fact, I was going to Monjiro Street. So you have the massive S&S building there. Okay, and I think you also have the meat store and everything there. And there's a young boy who I still see today. He's a man now. He's a man now, right? I remember seeing him standing there. I knew him because he's from a particular community where I know he's from.
Okay.
So I was going about my business and I passed him and he was standing there. And I said to him, "Hey, what's up there?" He said to me, I good. I said, "What you doing there?" He said, "I'm waiting for my father." He said to me to wait for him there. He's going to come take me to buy me a pair of shoes.
Oh my goodness, Andre!
And he was standing there, right? So I went about my business. There was a place called Girl Friday back in the day. You remember that? No, you don't remember that?
I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, that's where girls used to go to learn to type and so on.
Okay.
Yeah, it was actually a business. I was up there, as you heard Girl Friday, you know why I went there.
Yes, Andre, I could guess.
So I was at Girl Friday. So I was there for quite a while, probably close to 2 hours, right? And then when I left there, I went back now, I saw the boy standing in the same place. And I said to him, "What happened?" He said, "I'm still there waiting for my father. He says he's going to come here, wait for him to buy me a pair of shoes." And I saw him probably maybe a few months after that at his residence. And I asked him, "Did your father ever come to get you the shoes?" He said, "No, he never showed up."
He never showed up.
And there's another one again. Let me give you that other one. a young lady told me she was in school. She was at secondary school. She left home that day without having breakfast. And her father promised her, "I will come to the school to bring you breakfast." And she said he never did. And imagine that young lady going through that.
You're opening up a can of worms, because that is exactly what has happened to many of us children. You see that thing you say about the shoes and the breakfast? It happens so often, not with shoes and breakfast, but with your father saying he is going to come. And many times children tell you, they look in the window, they wait for their father, they wait for their mother, they're looking outside, and
but can you imagine, you're hungry, and you left home without breakfast,
and
you're at school,
and you made that promise and you never delivered on the promise, Andre. And it really affects a lot of us that go through these things. I mean, people don't understand how traumatic that is, because then you get into relationships, and because you have been abandoned, so to speak, lied to,
yes,
you have all sorts of issues that prevent you from having
a normal, healthy relationship.
Yes,
that is true.
So these things are really, really serious. So when we tell people we are going to do things, we have to be able to keep our word, right? Keeping promises, it's something that it's a big deal, I think.
I agree.
There's immeasurable value in embodying the principle of honoring your word. When more and more promises seem to dissipate into thin air, trust today feels like a rare commodity, especially in the workplace and in relationships. Keeping your word is an essential component of integrity. Your word is promising to do what you promise. According to psychologists, breaking your promise sends a message that you don't value the person to whom you give your word. It teaches people that they cannot trust you. And in time, these tiny fissures, what's fissures? Little cuts, right? It creates that kind of, domino effect. It undermines your credibility as a human and as a business leader, as a parent. It really undermines your credibility. I mean, you see people who, you will hear people say to them, don't mind mate making sense. Or once they call a particular person to the table, everybody ignore them. And sometimes people say, oh, y'all don't have no respect. But it's probably what that person has done in terms of promising things. And then the credibility is so low because you've not delivered on any of your promises that nobody wants to hear you. But when you begin to deliver on your promises, what this is saying is that it starts to increase on the trust, your integrity. And I have to say these two words are synonymous with one of our leaders, where you hear people say, when he says something, he says he's going to do it, he does it. Or even if you try, because in here we're going to see, even if you try to do it, and the critical part of it is intention and communication. Because many times, Andre, we make promises and we are unable to fulfill them. Because there are a myriad of things that could happen, right? Life throws us all sorts of jabs and, obstacles.
I call them googlies.
You see what I mean? So sometimes we are unable to deliver. But one of the things we will see here is that your intention is important and your communication in how you let the person know, so that it does not erode the credibility or the trust or even your own integrity between you and that person or between you and that child. I mean, up to now, there are some children that do not trust their parents.
That's correct.
They do not trust their parents. And if your children do not trust you, you think other people will trust you?
In fact, the relationship, in fact,
Yes.
that's one I told you about with the schoolgirl. She and her father don't get along well at all.
And these are broken pieces that he never put back together. And that's the thing. One of the things we'll see there, Andre, that really bothers me about promises is the inability to come back to the promise or to be aware that you actually made a promise to somebody. What I mean by that is sometimes, okay, I call you and I say to you, Andre, I'm going to take you to dinner on Friday next week. And you do not say anything. I do not say anything. The time comes because you're waiting for me to say something. I was the one who told you I would take you to dinner, right? And then the time comes and I say nothing. 2 weeks pass, I say nothing. I see you and I say nothing. We don't address the promises that we've made. And we I don't know if we assume that the person forgets, but we don't come back and say anything, Andre. This is so painful for a lot of people.
Well,
right?
I like stories, right?
You like stories.
I like stories. Last week Saturday, I had an appointment with a potential client who was supposed to meet right here. Okay? And the appointment was set for 11 a.m. Now, I don't play by
By
time.
your time, yes.
See, my Tony, same thing.
Same thing.
Okay? So I was here about 10:30 because I'm excited about that. I mean, you talk about potential business.
That's right.
I was there at 10:30. I waited from from 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1 o'clock. I ain't seen anybody. Okay?
Not even a call, Andre?
Then head out. I don't know. I didn't have the person's number.
Okay.
But the person's mother called me finally to say, well, the person cannot make it. Right?
What time
Okay.
did you get that call?
Around after 1, something like that, right? But I was told, how about having it like 3 o'clock? Okay? I said, okay, no problem. So I left here, did my business, and I came back for 3 o'clock. I waited from 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then I called, and I said, what's going on? I'm still here waiting. But the person's mother apologized. But the person themselves I was supposed to meet has not a call, nothing.
Up to now?
Nothing.
Wow. This is really sad. I've heard or seen this happen a lot.
Now, for me, I don't want to meet you anymore.
That's right. Now that Andre, you and I, let me tell you, we're on the same page with that. I am a stickler for, if something is not going right or you cannot make it, you call and say something. Or if you don't have it, you call and say something. Because I know some of us, we live in delusion where we're very excited to tell people things and it makes some of us feel really good. So sometimes people say things in the moment and then when they leave, they have a change of heart. But it's okay to have a change of heart, Andre. I mean, we are human. But I think to follow through, if you don't follow through, then that really says a lot about your character. And I wouldn't want to do business as well. I mean, the same thing with guys. If you say you're going to take me to dinner, I didn't ask you for dinner. And most of the time, you don't ask them for the thing, Andrew. You don't ask them for the thing. You're going to take me to dinner for 6 o'clock and it's 5:30, 6 o'clock. I'm dressed and waiting and you don't even call to say something. I don't think you'll get another date ever. I don't care under what circumstances, you know. And I think if people do
no matter
that as
where
well,
how cut
nothing,
well cut he is,
nothing, Andre, zero, not another chance, because first impressions are lasting ones as well. I mean, if you don't know me, I don't know you. It's an opportunity to impress me, right?
Exactly.
So if you cannot make it, and you say you cannot make it, something came up, I am more inclined to give you a second chance
well said.
than if you didn't say anything. The art of keeping. Oh, Andre, before we go further, give our numbers, because I'm sure our callers want to let us know whether they are promise breakers or they keep their word.
Okay, the fixed line is 572-9710. Fixed line is 572-9710, or you can WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. Again, the fixed line is 572-9710, or WhatsApp 287-0971. And you know, Lotus, I think if we have to be honest with ourselves, I think probably the vast majority of people just don't keep their word.
But that's a bad thing, Andre. It is a terrible thing. And we have to start feeling bad, because, you know, in my opening vignette, I said it's like trust today feels like a rare commodity. It's like people don't even care when they do it. They don't say anything. They don't call you. They don't follow up, and they don't care. They just continue to live. Like, and I am normally baffled, Andre, because I just say to myself, but why say it in the first place? Or why promise the person that in the first place? And like I said, most times people do not even ask them. Sometimes they see you doing something, they want to come and insert themselves. Okay, I promise I will give you, I have a big tree of tamarind. I heard you talking about tamarind juice. I'll bring the tamarind. So now you're so excited because now you have a supplier of tamarind.
Yes.
And next thing you know, you're waiting for the tamarind juice. Zero. They've not dropped the tamarind. They didn't call you to say, and you had an opportunity to buy the tamarind if they you know they didn't make it. So I find, you know, that, but you'll see, Andre, it's part of the people's insecurities as well, and their brokenness that caused them to do these things. The art of keeping promises involves being mindful of commitments, setting realistic expectations, and communicating transparently. Key practices include pausing before agreeing to a request, being specific about what you can deliver, and proactively communicating any potential delays. To succeed, break down large commitments, use tools like lists and reminders, and build accountability by involving others or finding somebody who can remind you, an accountability partner. Sometimes people say that, because sometimes we pretend we forget, right? So put a reminder. Now we have phones, we have smartphones, we have computers, we have timers, we have all sorts of things. Set a timer, put a reminder to come back to it, because we forget, Andre. I forget.
Of course.
But
and I'm old schooler. I'll show you how old school I am when it comes to this thing about keeping promises. You see the one of paper I have in my hand there? Old school. That's to do.
To do, yes.
Do.
Exactly.
And I know exactly where it is, so I check.
So you
I
check
go back
to see
over
what
it,
you have, yes.
and I tick off whatever I kept. I take it off.
That's right, Andre. That's a very good practice, because if we do not do that, sometimes we forget legitimately, but it's the accountability and the responsibility that you have taken. These are keywords there: accountability and the responsibility to write the note, remind yourself, put a reminder somewhere, so that when you make your promises, you can keep them. Now, before making a promise, let's look at what we talk about when we talk about promise or keeping your word. Before you make a promise, assess your capacity, right? And capacity means whether or not you can do it. Do you have the resources that you say you have? Do you have the know-how? Do you understand what you've just told the person? Before committing, take a moment to evaluate your ability and willingness to follow through. It is better to delay a response than to overpromise. Right? So some of us, we do not assess whether or not we can deliver on the promise. We just want to be in the source. So we make a promise to somebody and we cannot deliver on the promise. We don't have the capacity. We do not have the actual thing that we're saying we're going to deliver. We're just throwing it out there, and we don't realize that people take us seriously. People take you at your word. People are like, okay, that person said they're going to provide that, so I'm going to wait for it. Or that person said they're going to call me on Thursday, I'm going to wait for it. Especially with jobs, Andre. Sometimes people are looking for jobs, and organizations put HR in place, and you're supposed to return the call or, you know, send an email, and people are waiting. Now, don't get me wrong. I know in the age of AI, if we have many applications, we cannot answer everybody. We cannot answer everybody individually. But if you have a system in place to send, even if it's an automatic reply, that's what it does. It actually puts the person at ease that, you know, okay, you're not sitting there waiting for the call that the person said they would make, and you can move on with your own life to make other plans. So the first thing is to assess your capacity, whether or not you can, meet the promise that you said you're gonna meet, or your willingness to follow through. Look at that as well. And if you have to delay a response, it is better than to overpromise that. Be specific. Avoid vague statements. Instead of "I'll get it to you soon," say "I'll have it done by next week Friday." So be specific. What they're saying is that, again, that's part of what people need to see when there's a bubble on the loose. If somebody is a bubble, once they start to tell you things that doesn't have a timeline, there's no day. So, Andrea, I'll call you. And some of them like to say that. I say I'll call you. But the other person is saying, is there time? Is there a day? Can you call me on Friday? Can you give me a timeline as to when I'm expected to hear from you? And a lot of times they don't have that information. So that should be a sign, first of all, that that person probably, they're not sure about what they're promising. So you have to be specific when you are promising things. The other thing is to know your boundaries. Do not make promises that make you feel uncomfortable or are outside your personal boundaries. So do not say you can promise certain things when and that's what we were talking about there at the top too. That's part, and it's tied to assessing your capacity to provide, to deliver on that promise. If you do not have the wherewithal, Andre, do not set things out of your boundaries. Do not keep your boundaries tight. Don't say you're going to provide that to the person, and you do not have the resources, you do not have the wherewithal, your boundaries are so tight, you do not have that. So they're saying to keep within your boundaries, know your boundaries, and know what you can do and what you cannot do. While keeping a promise, break it down. So divide a large commitment into smaller, manageable tasks to make it feel less overwhelming. Because sometimes people say, especially with our leaders, governments, they say they're going to deliver something and it's a big task. Break it down into small areas so that people understand more. Or you can deliver on the parts instead of delivering one time on a huge obligation that probably will take about 5 or 10 years. Because if you say you're going to deliver something, sometimes people expect that you will deliver it as you say it, you will deliver it very shortly. It doesn't matter how big it is, right? But if you break it down, that's what they're saying, if you divide it, if you break it down into smaller commitments, then you're able to give people the hope that eventually you will be able to deliver the big promise, because they can see the components are being delivered bit by bit. So Andre, if you tell people you're going to deliver an Oprah show one of these days, you have to give us the little increments of the things that are happening. You say to people, I have now gotten the studio in place, all the chairs are there for the studio audience, so bit by bit they know, okay, we probably all of us going to get a car because we have an Oprah-like show coming up, you know what I mean? So people are more inclined to believe you when you break down the promises into components rather than saying you're going to do one big thing and you never deliver it.
Gotcha.
Right?
Let me give you the numbers again.
Yes.
The fixed line is 572-9710. Fixed line 572-9710, or you can WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971.
Okay. Andre, the other thing which you just mentioned there a while ago is to use tools. Write your promises down in a notebook or digital note to increase your commitment. Set reminders or alarms to stay on track. You just said that. Many times we, when we start to get older, we forget. We tell somebody we're going to do something, but we forget it for true. I mean, there are many times I've told my children I am going to drop them somewhere, and the time comes and I totally forgot. And the youth, sometimes they have no patience. So they think that you actually, mama guy in them. when you say, no, I forgot. I really forgot. But part of it they're saying is to have tools in place. If you know you're forgetful, or if you know you don't always remember things, write it down.
That's correct.
Especially when you're in a position of making countless promises to people. Write down the promises that you've made. Write down your list of your to-do list.
Yeah.
So okay, I am supposed to call Nairobi today. So your child is not waiting for you to call her and you haven't called. Because these things affect children very, very deeply.
Correct.
When they're waiting for your promise. You know how many of my friends and colleagues who have told me they waited for their fathers and the parents, the mother is waiting for the money? That's another promise, Andre, that's really, really hard to take.
That's another tough one.
Where parents or whether it's the mother, the father, waiting for the money to do certain things.
And you say, I will bring it.
And you say, I will bring the money on Friday. I will bring the money. And the person is...
Or you'll have it in the account.
You'll have it in the account. And Andre, you go into the account because you know you expecting $200 because you have to do your groceries, and you get there and the account does not reflect that.
I say you get a slap in your face.
You get a slap in your face. And there's no calls. There's no calls. Now, Andre...
Or if you now call up the person, they have an attitude.
They have... Oh, yes, Andre. That's one of the things I really never understand, Andre. Why is there an attitude when you made the promise to the person? I mean, I saw one time, there was a story, I have a story. I remember many years ago, there was a young lady that used to sell. You remember... those what do they call them now? They sell things in the magazines, and you order things, and then you give them the money, and they order the things for you, and it gets here. Avon.
Oh, that thing! It's a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yes, I remember that.
And I remember one time this girl ordered so many things, and then when she got all the things, and the person was coming to take the money, she was more upset. She didn't want to. She didn't have the money to give the lady, but she was very upset with quarreling with the lady about. And I was like, wow. When you wanted the things, you ordered the things, and then when you said you were going to give the money, now you have more attitude than anything else. So we really need to take stock of that. Why are we so upset when we make a promise? And
because we do not understand what a promise entails. Right? That's our problem. We think that this is no big deal. It's no big deal. I can just change.
Relying on
I can just change my mind, and I have a right to change my mind. Things like that. Yes, you have a call, Lotus. You certainly do.
That's great. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted. Tell us.
Good morning, Lotus. Good morning, Andre.
Good morning.
Yes, first of all, there is a gentleman I want to big up. His name is Mr. Mark Polio. This gentleman made me understand that the only thing that we have in this world is our word. So when you do make a promise, you need to keep it. Because and he made me understand that in such a terrible way. We had a very bad experience. I made a promise to him that I would get back to him on something. And the gentleman waited for me hours and hours and hours. And, all the time I was just there. I said, I'll just get back to him later. I'll check him later. But when he called me, he told me, what? Why didn't you get back to me? At least tell me something, or just at least a little yes or no. And he was so infuriated. And then he explained to me exactly what it did to him. That he was just there waiting and waiting and waiting just to hear a little yes or no. It wasn't even nothing too much. And that really hurt me. And that hurt my relationship with him. And from that day, I just keep my word. Whatever I say, if you cannot do it, if you cannot do something, you need to let somebody know you cannot do it. And that's it. You're not going to die. You're not going to fall down or anything. Nothing's not going to happen to you. The person is going to even like it that you said, yeah, you cannot make it. They appreciate that much more than you just not saying anything whatsoever. And a lot of young people really take it for granted. When they give you a word, I'll just get back to him tomorrow or whatever. You just let it pass. And that's really, really sad. I just hope one day that we could instill that in our kids growing up, that your word is the only thing that you go with. That's what you come with. That's what you're going to die with.
That's right.
So keep your word.
Oh,
Have a
my
great
goodness.
day, guys.
Thank you so much,
Thank
caller.
you. Thank you.
That was a fantastic contribution, Andre.
I'm from the diaspora, actually.
Wow. And you know what? I like that first call was from the perspective of he did not keep the promise, but he said he listened to what it did to the person. And I think many times we don't realize how making open promises or just saying things or, just and ignoring what we have actually promised to do, what it does to the other person. And many times I think it's because we feel like on our side, we just ignore. We have another call?
Yes, we do. This is Unrestricted with Lotus.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted. Tell us.
Morning, Lucas. Good morning, Andre.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Thanks for accepting my call. Eh?
You're very welcome.
Yeah. Lucas, I don't think making a promise and breaking it is as bad as we think it is, Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
There is something in court that said guilty with explanation.
Okay.
You have heard that?
No,
I've heard that. Does
I
that
don't think
really
I've heard
exist?
that. What does
I've
that
heard that.
mean? What does that mean?
I don't know what like you do the thing, you know you are wrong, but you have to explain why you are wrong. Something so.
Yeah, something like that.
But you mentioned explaining that you are wrong. Does that mean that you take accountability?
Yes, at the end of the day,
something so,
you're guilty, but you say I have to explain why I did what I did.
But that's not what.
Yeah.
Keeping a promise. If you're going to explain why you cannot keep it,
Why
or you take accountability,
that's
it's
what I
better.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why.
But you're still guilty.
Making a promise.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You're still guilty.
Making a promise and didn't keep it. It's not as bad as the thing, because if you make a promise to somebody and you cannot keep it, you can communicate to the person, you can call the person and say why you didn't keep the promise on this day, on whatever.
But that's what we're saying, caller. That's what we're saying. If you cannot, because I don't think the discussion is not saying that there's not a possibility that you will break the promise, or the promise is you always have to keep the promise 100%.
Yeah.
But if we don't communicate or say anything, that's where the effect is, right?
Yeah, because a promise has to do a lot with communication, I believe.
I agree with you. I agree.
Because if I promise a man $20 on Saturday morning, let's say 10 o'clock, I promise you $20 on Saturday in the boulevard, and you're waiting there for me, and you see me coming out from a supermarket with groceries in a trolley, you'll say, but this man promised me $20, 10 o'clock. And look, this man coming from a supermarket, 12 o'clock, a trolley of groceries. So what do you tell this man when the man tell you? And that?
Well,
what can I say to this man?
No, but the thing is, like you say, you have broken the promise. You've not met him.
Yeah.
You've not said anything, and that is wrong. That's what's wrong, because he is waiting. When people are waiting, it means that they have made the time to wait. They have accommodated you. They've taken their time to wait and to receive what you have for them.
And Lucas, do you believe? Let me finish. Do you believe pride has a lot to do when you make a promise and you cannot keep it to communicate with the person?
I think it's one of the things.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of pride. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
There's a bit of pride for sure.
Yeah, because
I
you
think
feel, why should I explain anything to my daughter?
But it's insecurity.
Or my daughter.
But it's insecurity, Andrew. It's not just pride. I think it's insecurity. It's a lack of respect for the other person. It's a lack of self-respect as well, your own self-awareness, a lack of self-awareness. Because if you're aware that for yourself you wouldn't like it, because you wouldn't like it if somebody, if you really think about it, Andre, many times people do things, but when you give them a taste of their own medicine,
they don't like it
they're
at
the
all.
ones that go up in the ceiling and
they don't like
and
it
especially
at all.
some people believe that they are better human beings than you.
Or some people believe that you are supposed to be a better human being than me. Are you aware of that?
Well, all that too.
Yes.
But they feel like if they're making the promise,
they put you on this pedestal.
It's true.
And they can mess up, but you can't.
But you cannot mess up. It's two ways. And the other thing is that people feel that you can wait for them, but they cannot wait for you.
There you go again. There you go again.
That's very common. So if you're looking for a job, and you if, for instance, you have an interview at 3 o'clock, you cannot come at 3:05. It means that you're late. But you can get to the organization and they can have you sitting there until 4 o'clock before you come in to do the interview. You ever see that, Andre?
Yes, of course I have.
So we practice one thing, but in the reverse, we do something else, right? But if you say you're going to keep the promise and you cannot keep the promise, it is important that you communicate that you will not be able to deliver under promise with explanation. I think that makes sense.
Let me share something with you, Lotus, and to our listeners and viewers as well. Maybe we never even knew that. So I'm going to share something right now as to how important it is for one to keep their word. It's so important that in the Bible, God talks about in Psalm 15 the kind of person that he wants in his kingdom. Okay? And he lists a few things. I won't go through all of them. I'll go through one related to what we're talking about today. One of the things that he says, right, if you're going to be in my kingdom, you have to be a person who swears to your own hurt and does not change. Let me repeat it for you. He who swears to his own hurt and does not change. Now, let me explain what it is. That describes a person of integrity who keeps his promises even when it becomes difficult or disadvantageous for them. Okay? In other words, there's something that you're going to lose for keeping your promise, but you do it anyway.
That's right.
So as I say, he who swears to his own hurt. So if, you see, I don't think we know about those things.
We don't know about these things.
Right? That God takes that very seriously, that when you give your word, you got to keep it.
But I think, Andre, to the thing we do not understand relating to that as well is that your reputation is in disrepute when you don't keep your word. And a lot of times people don't even realize how bad their reputation is. You know, I have met certain people that I would mention a particular professional and I would say, oh, I have to call that lady because, and immediately 5 people in a row will tell you, you're calling that lady is a waste of time. She doesn't, keep her word. She's all over the place. And the sad part about it, the person has worked so hard to get all those accolades, and as a professional, you have your reputation in disrepute because you don't keep your word. You see how it can mess up your reputation? And I think we don't think of that, Andre. We never think of that, where you have worked so hard, you're now a lawyer, you're now a doctor, you're now an engineer, you're now an accountant, and people will say, I cannot trust this person because they do not keep their word. And we would feel, I'm sure a lot of us would be heartbroken if we knew people said that about us. Because we have the pompous attitude that we're so needed, right? And then you hear people say, no, mates are bobolis. Mates are lie.
Or just a bluffer.
Yes, that's the word, Andre, where people call you a bluffer. And
when you see the women, because we spoke earlier about not keeping your word, I'll leave the money for you, I'll bring the money for the child, that sort of thing. I'll bring the milk, right? And you hear those women calling these fellas boy. Oh my gosh, I couldn't take that. To hear them calling these fellas boy.
What do you mean, Andre? Say that again. What do you mean when they promise to bring?
Whatever it is that they're supposed to be doing, they do not do, including not keeping their word.
Yes.
So the ladies in their lives who have maybe children with them have no respect for them.
They call them boys.
They call them boys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Andre, the other thing is communicate changes, which is what we have been saying. And this cannot be underestimated or underrated. Communicate your changes. If circumstances change and you cannot meet a deadline, inform the other person as soon as possible. Transparency minimizes disappointment. Andre, how many times people sit and wait, and if you said something, then they know they're not as disappointed? Because when somebody communicates with you that you didn't get the job, or they cannot come, or then you can go through the disappointment and you can make other plans in the quickest amount of time. Because, Andre, if you're waiting, right, like you said, you were waiting from 10:50 you there, all that is your time.
Yes. And not just that too. You know, for me, it's a huge thing on a weekend to relax myself.
You understand?
And imagine I leave, my relaxation to come
and then
there.
You come, and you could have been doing something else in that space of time. If they say that they cannot make it, you could make other plans and do something else, and you're just sitting there
wasting time,
waiting. And the other thing I find very common in St. Lucia is that after you have waited, even when they show up, there's no remorse. And there's no apology. I have seen that happen in businesses many, many times, where we have a call?
Yes, we do. Again from the diaspora.
Oh, fantastic. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Andrew Paul, Lotus.
Yes,
sir. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you all doing?
I'm well,
Very
thanks.
well.
You?
I am okay. Just cold.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It's cold. I have to put about 4 shirts and a long john, but I'm all right.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting topic as always.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my point to you this morning: the best we see when it comes to promises, to some people, keeping up promises is like a crime. But the best thing, the best thing to do is better if you tell somebody, listen, I want to do whatever you want me to do for you,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Give
Mm-hmm.
me a
Mm-hmm.
number. I will call you if it's and tell you if I can do it or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So by that time, that person might be waiting for you, but they don't have any great expectation.
Expectations?
Yeah.
Mm.
So if it's possible, then you call that person and you tell that person to meet you somewhere, or you will meet them somewhere, and then make their dream come true. I think that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
So that person have, it's, yeah, like I said, I think that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
Instead of telling the person, oh yes, for sure, at 10 o'clock, meet me at 10 o'clock, and you never show up. What do you think?
I mean, once you communicate, like you say, if you communicate your expectations and they know your expectations, you know the expectations, then it's better for you all to maneuver things. Yeah?
Yeah,
Mhm.
instead of telling the person, yes, for sure, that's what j'aimerais à 10 heures,
Mhm.
and 10 o'clock, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 4. And, I've never promised nobody nothing, and I didn't keep my word.
Bravo.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Cole.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Andre, I was talking about the fact that there's no apology when somebody walk into a business, and especially within the hair business. Sometimes you go, the breeders are famous for that. Breeders and wig installers. Now, I'm not beating up on you all. You just have to clean up your act. If you say to somebody that you have to start braiding their hair at 6 in the morning, they have to get up in their bed. They have to make the preparations. They are there. And then you walk in at 10 and you joke about, oh, there was so much traffic and this, that. You joke about it instead of apologizing for being late. Then it's been totally disrespectful. Have a call, Andre?
Yes, you certainly do.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Hello, good morning.
Are you a promise keeper?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
And if I cannot, I will explain why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think it's related to two things.
Okay.
I think people who don't keep promises also have a difficulty admitting when they are wrong and apologizing. But if you can admit when you are wrong, you will do your best to keep an apology. And if you cannot, you will call and explain why.
Yes.
Yeah, I think to me those two things are related, and they're also related to how much you care about your reputation. If you don't care what people think about you, well, you will live your life haphazardly
without
what
any
people think
standards.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's everybody around you who will suffer. And to Andre's example, when he first told the story about the person who didn't show up, he never mentioned it was a weekend. I thought it was during the week. Now, for Andre to leave his home on a Saturday, Sunday, that's a lot, considering
Yes.
he's there Monday to Friday already. And
That's
and
right.
that just shows you that that person is not somebody to do business with. And that will follow them. And to me, it is a shame for you to have your mother. What are you? In this case, I would say you're a little boy, because why are you having your mother call,
call, exactly.
to make excuses for you?
Yes, yes.
What are you, in grade school? Come on, that's shameful on that person's behalf. But I think, reputation, integrity, these things all go together when you speak about keeping promises,
Yes.
being able to apologize. And sometimes the apology is just to cool things down. Okay, I'm sorry, didn't mean to do that, before things escalate into something that you really will not be able to handle.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Have
Thank
a good
you.
week.
You
Yes,
too.
you as well.
That was a really good contribution.
course.
It's true, Andre. But why do we struggle? Because she was talking about, she mentioned two things where you can call, to be able to apologize, number one, and to explain, that's not a lot to do because people feel much better when you're able to apologize, Andre, to them. If you come in and you see me waiting for you from 6 a.m. to do my hair, and you come in at 8 or 9 and you have an explanation and you are remorseful, I am more inclined to sit and forgive you. But if you come with more attitude and you act like I'm supposed to be sitting there because I have nothing doing with my life, then you create an environment of more stress and more anger. You understand?
Yeah.
So why do we struggle? Why do we struggle to keep our promises?
You
or
have
our
another.
word?
You have another call.
We have another
Yeah.
call. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Good morning, Madam Lotus, and good morning, Mr. Andre.
Good morning.
Good
to
morning.
you, sir.
How are you doing, my friend Andre? It looked like somebody gave you a stone to hold, man.
I got 2 that day. Yes.
I love Andre. Lotus, I hear you are somebody they are promise keeper. Well, let me tell you, it's one of the things that I hate people to give me promise. That is why I do not give people any promise. I do not make promises to people.
Okay.
Two things I am adamant on. If you tell me a time, you have to be there. If you're not there, you disrespect me and you'll never get me to meet you at that point again. I made a promise 27 years ago to my wife, and I told her, forever we shall be. Andre, you got a money virus, I stayed with her. That promise I am breaking. I am not breaking that promise. And my wife will joke around and she'll tell you one thing: if I walk away from Bernard will always come and look for me. And she call I leave in my wife and go for me. I made a promise to her and I maintain that.
All right.
That promise
Bravo
was
to
not
you.
made between just my wife. Because that promise was not just made between my wife and I. It was made between my wife, myself, and God. And I will keep that. I always tell my children that. You see, when you all have to go to work, you all are there on time. You all make promises to the boss that you all will be there on time. But when you all have to go to church, you all want to come to church on time. You all prefer to make a promise with man, be there on time, but you all want to make a promise with God and to be there on time. I teach my children them things. So when promises have been made, yes, things are. People break things. Yes, you need to apologize, but try as much as possible not to make promises that you know you will not be able to keep.
Yes.
Try to make it as much as possible. Try to make promises that you are not going to make sure that you are going to keep that promise. Don't give people word. Yes, as far as I'm concerned, my word is my bond.
Yes.
My word is my bond. And if I tell you that my word, I give you my word, I want you to live by it. I am into the construction business, home renovations, and when I tell somebody in 3 weeks' time you are going to get your apartment or your building or your home, Andre Paul, I see to it in 3 weeks' time, I give it to you.
Bravo.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's why I want to make a promise to Andre Paul. I want to make a promise to Andre Paul. I wanted to partake in his Christmas program, but he didn't give me that chance. But I'm still keeping that. I'm hoping that one day he'll tell me
Hold
yes.
on. When you say partake in the Christmas program, please explain.
Donate gifts to your listeners for Christmas.
But we haven't had that conversation. Have we? Are we?
Yes, we have had. We have had it, Andre.
We did. Well, okay, don't worry.
Yeah, I told you I want to partake, but you tell me you want to be more in the budget.
Oh, don't worry. The guy Pali. Yes,
right.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a nice one.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, you have a good day.
Righty.
But Andrew,
Yeah.
one of the reasons I think that people, how we increase the ability for people to not keep their promise is the fact that we do not hold people accountable for not keeping the promises. We just keep on walking because they keep on walking. And I think that's where we continue to teach people bad behaviors.
Well, it's one of two things, Lotus. It's either, but I shouldn't say it's either. I think it's important that these things are taught in the home.
Yes,
Okay?
yeah, you're right.
It should start there with you have parents who are keeping their word to their children and letting the children know how important it is to keep their word. Now, it doesn't mean parents will teach you everything.
That's right.
But at some point, you got to, realize you have to grow up.
Yes.
And that's just,
But Andre, we have to also hold people accountable, Andre. Like you said, if somebody has told you they were going to meet you at 11 and they never said anything, they cannot just call you and continue like life just moves on, moves on. Right?
Or not call.
Or not call, and then you continue to accommodate them. That's what I'm saying. Many people do us that. They say they're going to call you, they never call, or they say you're waiting for them, and they never come back and address it. And you meet them a week later, and they come and talk to you like nothing happened, and you never go back to it. Now, some people would say, "Oh, you're living in the past," but no, that's how you hold people accountable.
I agree, Lotus.
You cannot move on from where we are unless you address what has been done. If the person is
Lotus,
not important
that is
to you,
so true, Lotus.
yes,
that is so
yes,
true.
Andre,
They want to end it. They want to say,
just,
let's move on. Why are you
and some
bringing
of
that
them,
up?
yes, they tell you, and
that happened how many
that's
weeks
gaslight.
ago?
Some of them, they say, "Oh, that happened weeks ago. It happened a year ago."
Yeah.
We have to forget. No, you have to address things so that you can move on properly. You have to address it. If they're not important to you, then that's a different situation. Like some of us, we don't care. We were supposed to meet somebody, the person didn't come. We are disappointed, but we don't take it to heart because that person, we didn't know that person anyway, or the person, we just waited. Maybe we figure we should have gotten to know the person better, or and you can move on from that. But if it's somebody in your life, or if it's people that you respect, you have to hold them accountable. They promise something, they don't address it. You cannot let life continue to move on without addressing it, because that's where resentment begins to build. Some of us don't say anything. We forget that we say, okay, the person didn't do what they promised, and we're just going to continue moving, but we're so upset with that person, right? So internally, we have that grudge because we didn't address it, Andre.
Well, yes. And in addition to that, you may even have the grudge even more so because the person will not allow you to address it. Because you're trying to address it, you're trying to hold them accountable.
Yes.
And then they're telling you, "Oh, I don't want to talk about that." You always end up living in the past and
then
things
you make
like
a
that.
decision to downgrade them, and that's where you make the decisions, Andre. Because to me, that's how I see things. If you and some people may say, "But Lotus, you really clean cut." No. It's about setting the boundaries and also setting the precedence of how the person is going to treat you. Because if they tell you that's okay in the past, they will do it again a second and third time.
You're right.
And then you continue to take it, and you continue to take it. So you're actually telling that person that you are not deserving of their respect.
You're right, Lotus. I agree with you.
So it's a free for all. They will continue to disrespect you.
To be honest with you, as you said it a while ago, I downgrade you a long time ago.
Yes, and then
I don't call you. I don't want to be around you. Right, stay away from me.
It's not something. Because Andre, if you continue to give that
stressing me
person
out.
the chances, next thing you have a very important occasion and they do not show up. They were doing you that all the time, and you have a very important occasion where you decided to even give them a responsibility that in the past they're not good with responsibility. What do you expect? Some of us, I believe some of us like misery, Andre.
Because say we suckers for punishment.
Yeah, because if we know the person is a particular way,
why do you expect them to change?
Why do you expect them to change?
And especially they're doing this thing for a long time.
Over and
years.
over again. You've not downgraded them. You invite them to your things, and you expect your things to go well. We have to teach people how to treat us. That's how you treat people, how to teach them how to treat you when you hold them accountable. So a man who says to you, "I am going to come for you at 4:00," and by 3:30, he hasn't said anything. You're sitting there waiting for him. He hasn't said anything. 4:00 comes, he hasn't said anything. 6:00, He hasn't said anything. By 8 o'clock when he calls you and he doesn't even give you an explanation, to me, you know, I don't know why. I mean, I remember one time this guy had asked me out. And you see, that's the other thing. It's reasons. He asked me out and I suggested that we should have tea together because I don't know him. He invited me to his house. And I said, no, I think we should have tea in a public place. I don't know you'd like that.
I agree.
Whatever.
I agree.
And we agreed, okay, I'll meet you after work and, you know, so we'll meet about 5:30. And that time came, he never said anything. He never called, he never said anything. And I messaged and I, you know, called and I said, well, what's going on? Are you still coming? Nothing. He didn't pick up his phone. Nothing. I left a message. Wait for it, Andre. I left a message. You know, because I believe in first, second chances, especially when you don't know what's happening. Because like I'm saying, things happen. So we don't want to be unreasonable and say things do not happen. Things happen. I called, I messaged, nothing. At about 8 p.m., I called and I left a message again and I said, I hope you're not bleeding in the hospital or you were not in an accident, because I find it very strange that you would not have the courtesy to return my call or to say anything. As soon as I left that kind of message, he called back to say he wasn't bleeding. And as soon as I said, oh, you're not bleeding? You're not in the hospital? He said, no, I didn't let him finish. I just hung up the phone. For me, there was no need to get your explanation.
Couldn't you downgrade?
Because, yes, hang up the phone. He called, sent messages on Facebook and was doing all kind of... I said, no. I said, because to me, as a grown man, your manners is what gives you a foot in the door. You understand? So if you cannot even respect me enough to be mannerly, to say that you cannot make it or to say that you're not interested, then why would I waste my time having a conversation with you? And I think... years later, when I spoke to him again, he really thanked me for that because it corrected how he treated women, how he felt. If he wasn't interested or he didn't want to go, be bold enough to say, I'm not interested, or I do not want to have coffee. I want you at my house. You know, yes. Be bold enough to say that and allow people to disagree or to, you know, not take part in what you want to do.
But Lotus, I spoke earlier about integrity being taught in the home. Well, it starts with the parents, setting the right example, being a person of integrity, keeping your word, you know, that sort of being truthful and so on, right? Now, say a child is a victim of the home where that doesn't happen. There's no integrity there or anything like that. Father breaking promises, mother breaking promises, like it's no big deal. Now, this person is out there in the world, in the real world now, trying to maneuver things for themselves, and they want to do well, okay? They want to do well. Now, I think from today's program, it's obvious that integrity plays a big role in your overall success.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Okay. So how can a person now who didn't come from that kind of environment, who's listening right now, and was really, as you said a while ago, could be somebody who's a hairdresser. I'm just saying that as an example. In many, many fields where this sort of thing happens. And the person is now not used to doing that kind of thing. How do you begin? How do you start?
Well, I think first of all, the person once you're serious about your business, because you don't go into business to not make a profit, right? And success is directly tied to your profits. Because if the person realize they begin to lose clients because they're never on time, they're not respectful, then it will hit the bottom line. It will hit your pocket. And so nothing is a better teacher than when we start to be squeezed in our pockets, right? Because word spreads very quickly, Andre. I mean, in the world of social media now, it's about likes and it's about comments, and people will write you off very quickly on social media. You become a bluffer, a volley, according to the St. Lucians, or Bobolis, people are going to brand you very quickly. Do not go to that person. I mean, I've seen things on Facebook where people say, do not go to that person because that person is a liar. That person wastes time. That person. So you really risk. So I would tell the person to tie their business idea or what they're doing to their own pocket, the profitability in treating people well so that you can get your business.
Let me just announce to our listeners and viewers that Mind Matters will be coming on at 10:30 this morning. That's because Dr. Gillard is at a very important meeting. Imagine he actually came to the studio yesterday to explain to me. You see integrity?
Integrity and respect.
To explain.
Yes.
And he called me how many times after that and so on to ensure that I was able to organize things in such a way that he can come on at 10:30 this morning. So
that's right,
we have a little extra time. We actually have a call.
We have a call?
I think you'll be pleased with this caller.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to
Good morning,
Unrestricted.
Lotus. Good morning, Andre. Compliments of the season to both of you.
Oh, good morning.
Compliments of
Good
the
morning,
season to
caller.
you as well.
To you as well. Thanks for
Thank you
calling.
so much. I
What say
appreciate
you? Do you believe in breaking promises?
that. Well, the people who know me know that dependability is one of my sexiest traits.
Sexiest straight, hear that?
I am dependable as a clock.
Okay.
And, you know, I was thinking while I was listening to your show, and I liked the lady who called. I'm assuming she called from the diaspora because she was speaking about people who break the promise or they can't deliver. And what they do is tell you, oh, I'm so sorry. Save your sorries. Sorry doesn't mean that much to me. I like people who are like the North Star. I have a friend. She's been my friend for over 30 years. My goodness. We could be annoyed. We are not speaking. We are not anything. But if she told me that she would do this and that, she would still honor that promise despite the fact that we are in a period of breach. And for me, I like that. And, you know, I also like the fact that, you know, you are extending the topic to talk about not just relationships between people, but relationships in business, relationships on how, you know, I loved Andre's story when he started and he was talking about, you know, the person who he was waiting for interminably. You know, I don't think an apology or an explanation from that person would help patch up the breach in trust that Andre has suffered. So allow me to say this. One thing I have always respected Andre, because, you know, Andre is a man of his word. And I think that is important. And I think that, you know, just coming through the political season, it shows people how important it is that you can know that a person gives you their word, but that word becomes action later on,
That's
as
right.
you referenced earlier on, because this is what builds trust. Trust is built on your actions, not your words, on your actions. And that is why, for me, I am very, very particular. Now, do I lapse? Yes. I am the guilty one. And, you know, certain people near to you can attest to that, as in Vaughn. I am the guilty one. I'll tell you, I'll call, and I have to work on that. Because I don't give you a time. I say, I'll call maybe over the weekend. The maybe depends on if I feel like it or if I don't feel like it. Because I'm an introvert, sometimes I don't feel like to.
No, but that's the responsibility as well. At least you take the responsibility. Let me just interject.
No, the responsible thing to do is to text Vaughn and say, I am not calling this weekend. So I hold myself accountable in that area, in that I don't do that well enough. But
okay,
if you need me to be there and show up for you and be in your corner, that's me. Okay? But there are a lot of little areas, I have to say for myself personally, where I can be very, very flat-footed that way, depending on what side of the introversion I'm with on that day. Okay? So I think I've said enough, but I just want to say, you know, continue doing what you're doing. And you know that no matter what happens on a Wednesday, I will put aside everything to be able to listen to your show as far as humanly possible. Why? Because I promised you.
Yes.
That.
Wow.
Amen.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care.
Thank you so much.
And continue
Thank
to
you.
have this wonderful, wonderful platform where people can actually talk about the things that are unrestricted. Talk unrestrictedly about the things that are restricted. Sorry.
Yes. Thank you so much.
For this. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so
long.
much.
Thanks for calling. I told you like that caller.
Yes, I really like that caller.
So she promised that she would listen to your
Yes,
show
yes.
even before you started.
Even before, yes.
Wow.
She always promises that. And she
Wow.
always keeps her promises. My friends are very good with promises. And again, part of it is getting to know the people that you deal with as well. So, you know, she holds herself accountable for her own lapses. And we know, you know, what type of relationship we have, and we work on it. But I think when we were talking about people just disrespecting, not keeping promises, and here we have, when you don't keep your word, there are costs attached. And one of the causes is missed opportunities when you do not keep your word. Because, Andre, that person that didn't come, who knows what could have happened when we keep our word, right? If you keep your word, there may just be something more for you in the situation. So you can miss opportunities when you don't keep your word.
You have another call. Let me just remind our listeners and viewers that we have Mind Matters coming up at 10:30.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
Great show as
Thank
always.
You. Thank you.
Keep it up. I was listening to your story, and that is so true what you did with this guy. I was in a situation where I was supposed to go on a date. It was like the first date, and I'm sitting there waiting. I fell asleep.
Wow.
Sitting. And then when I got up, it was after 9. He was like an hour and a half late. And I called him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just going. I'm shaving." I said, "Well, you might as well go with yourself." And he was so angry and started swearing, and I'm like, "Oh, I think I just saved myself, wrong person really." And he didn't realize that being late was a big deal. Like, he actually did not even apologize, and I didn't go. I'm like, nope.
So Lotus, sorry, caller. So you see what I was telling you earlier? How did this individual, right, not realize that he's not supposed to behave like that? There's a reason for that.
Yeah, because he's a narcissist, he's disrespectful, he's insecure, he's broken, Andrew.
Right, so something has been going
something
on
has to be
in
wrong.
his life that caused him to get that way.
He's all that, he got all this, a woman should wait for him no matter what. Yeah. And I'm like, I fell asleep. I was ready 15 minutes before, making sure that, he will be on time, and I don't want him to wait, because that thing of saying men always have to wait for women.
Yes.
I make sure that I was ready, and then you didn't even have the decency to call and say, "I'm gonna be late."
That's right.
I didn't go, and he was angry, and he thought that I was being disrespectful. Like, we had a plan, and I should keep to it. And I said, "But you didn't keep to your time." And time worth a lot, and that showed me a lot, and I didn't go.
That's right.
And Lotus, is exactly what you're saying about making the person accountable.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what she did.
Yep. So thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And that's the thing, Andre. When we don't hold people accountable, they feel that they can continue to do what they're doing, and that maybe somebody had not corrected him. Many times nobody pulls up another person, and they continue to do what they're doing because they think it's okay, or it gets them through the door, or, and nobody says anything to them. And sometimes if you're the person that pulled them up, they vex more than you. They because nobody has corrected them. It's like a child, right? If you if you don't correct a child, that child continues to believe that what they're doing is okay. And when one person pulled them up, they're more surprised because they're like, "Well, I've been doing that all the time. Nobody has said anything to me."
Have you seen the way Donald Trump behaves when the females especially pull him up? Have you seen his behavior?
Exactly. So it's from
especially
where
with
it came
females.
from. Do you know the history of his dad?
No, I don't think I want
Read
to
a
know.
little bit about his dad. You'll see where he gets a lot of the way he behaves. So, like you say, it starts from the home. If we instill certain things, or even if you don't know, Andre, and you are around people who hold you accountable, you have to learn how to be a good human being, how to be a normal person. Because it's not normal for you to tell somebody you come in somewhere and you don't even have the strength. That's a lot of weakness, where you cannot pick up the phone to say I cannot come, and your mother have to cover you. You can pick up the phone
and up to now that person has not called themselves to say I'm sorry about what happened.
Sorry, no, Andre. And I'm like you. I don't want to do business. I don't care if you're bringing $1 million into the business.
That's right.
Because sometimes we have to stand up for what we believe. Sometimes, people will say, "What, $1 million? Maybe if he gives me $1 million." Well, Andre, you have to double think. But, $1 million is a good amount of money to pay for a mistake. But what I'm saying to you is that we have to hold people accountable. And when we talk about the costs include damaged relationships. That's another cost. When you don't keep your word, you damage the relationship. And if you look at our leaders, When they keep their word, the relationship gets stronger. The people believe you more. The people will go to bat for you when you keep your word. You understand, Andre? The opposite is true too. When you don't keep your word, people do not trust you. They don't want to see you. They do not want to hear you. You understand? You cannot even get a word in because they do not believe you. The other thing is having a reputation as an unreliable person. That's the other cost, is that you put your own reputation in disrepute. People don't want to hear you. They don't want to see you. You are unreliable. The other cost is it costs you conflict with others. There are some people, they don't realize they have a fight with everybody they're in business with. And they never take the time to reflect and see, I am the one that's not keeping my word. If you're in a business and you cannot deliver on the times that you're saying you're going to deliver, and all your customers are complaining, then there must be some self-reflection.
Well, that is the thing.
You understand?
That is the thing. How do you, as I was asking you earlier,
damage the reputation.
How do you get to that point where you say to yourself, no, I have to stop
but
this?
It starts to affect your pocket, Andre. I know there's somebody who called me and said to me, oh, the business said things are very bad. There's nothing happening in that business. And that business the person is in is booming. They're the only one not making money. And I wanted to say to him, have you taken the time to look at your reputation? Nobody's bringing business to him because you have a reputation where people cannot rely on you. But in that same business, your competitors are booming. Why? Because they keep their word, they deliver on time, so people are leaving you and going away. And that happens even when you are talented. So even if you think that you've delivered
all that.
And yes, an excellent service, there are the dime of dozen of people who are talented as well. So it's about you now adding that layer of integrity to your business. And Andre, when we listen to you, when we look at you, you can attest to that. There can be 1 million radio stations, but when Rev-Up came on board, part of what brought people to you is your integrity, your word. People will say, you know what, I will listen to Andre. Because if Andre say that will happen, that will happen. You know what I mean? And it's a very good thing when people can rely on your word as well. So, of course, it's detrimental to your business and it's going to cost you money if people cannot rely on you.
And especially when they turn on the radio or listen online and they know at 5 o'clock, he's going to be there.
Exactly. The other cost is you can experience, if you experiencing guilt or remorse, you know that, okay, you have been doing something bad, people cannot rely on you, but you are apologetic, you are remorseful, you go to people and you ask for forgiveness. If you're not doing that, then of course people are going to drop you. But if you are apologetic, if this person had come to you and say, Andre, this is what happened, or even sometimes we are fearful, maybe the person was afraid to come down to the business, maybe afraid to talk about the business, you say something, then the person know, because we are all human, like you say, Andre, we lapse sometimes. But at least you have that explanation. But if you said nothing, it gives the person the idea. The person doesn't know what is going on in your life, but that person now dislikes you. There's remorse, there's disdain, and the person just don't know why. You just left the person in that space of not knowing. So you have allowed that person now to develop those feelings about you that you refuse to correct.
True.
So this is what happened when we don't keep our words as well. So knowing these costs, it should make us more aware of what we're saying or agreeing to. If you know that it's going to cost you your reputation, and like one of our callers says, if your reputation is important to you, you will be mindful of the things that you promise people. But if your reputation is not, some of us have no standards, Andre. I've heard people say, me, I don't care. I mean, I tell him I was coming, but I come, Gaza, I couldn't come, I come. And people just continue to tell, and their friends, they're telling their friends that, and the friends are saying, well, yeah. No, you have to tell your friend, no, you're wrong. If you told somebody you're going to go and you didn't go, you should call that person and tell the person you cannot come. But we sit there and we let our friends do these things. We feel good about it. We don't tell them that. And then relationships are broken and we lose our reputation and our integrity and our reliability. People cannot rely on us. So I think when we're looking at, keeping your word, even in relationships, we spoke a little bit about business, but in relationships, intimate relationships, Andre, it's also important for you to keep your word. You cannot tell your man or your woman that you're going to do certain things and you just don't do it.
I'll fix the sink.
You'll fix the sink and the sink there, not now. Yeah. And you know what's sad is that when you make the promise and the person has brought somebody else to fix the sink, you more vex.
Yes.
What you vex
I
about?
told you I'll do it.
You know, so we have to keep our word to our significant others, our children. Very important, Andre. And before I go, Andre, when I started, because I know the time is coming, when I started, I mentioned that I was very excited to see the old people. I have to, it would be remiss of me if I didn't say I was very impressed with the youth as well. The youth they're listening, and a lot of them came out to vote. And I was very happy to see Rahim on the panel and doing a fantastic job. And he's youthful.
Yes, he's a young man.
Yeah, young man.
Yeah.
And his contribution was as powerful as, the other people on the panel. So I wanted to say that I couldn't forget before my children tell me, so you're not talking about the youth. But that was a good thing that the youth came out to vote. They knew they are now starting to discuss their rights, and they're now starting to discuss the things that affect them. So,
okay, Lotus.
Yes,
I want to thank you
Andre.
for stretching the time, because
Yes.
as I apologize earlier for not having Mind Matters at 10 o'clock this morning. Dr. Gilead has a very, very good explanation. He had a very important meeting to attend.
And I didn't even think I could do it.
This is a very serious gentleman, and if he says, he's going to be a little late. And imagine, actually, he actually came to the office yesterday. He didn't call.
So he
came
kept
to tell
his
me
word,
that.
eh?
Yeah.
So he keeps his word.
Amazing.
And the actions are there, Andre, to match. So that's really good. I'm happy that our callers engaged me. Thank you so much for calling. I hope that we can start to be more focused on our promises when we say things, that we try our best to deliver it. And if we cannot deliver it, we explain and we apologize, and so that we maintain better relationships going forward.
Okay, Lotus, thanks a lot for your service.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate you, and you can tell, and interesting, I think 99% of the calls this morning from the diaspora.
That's so nice. I'm so happy about that.
Yeah.
Because I definitely like the fact that social media takes us out where the diaspora can take part.
Yes. Okay, Lotus, have yourself a great day.
You too, Andre.
Until
Thank you.
next week, Wednesday, same time, for another Unrestricted.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so those of you on Facebook, etc., we'll take a little break from you and come back when we present Mind Matters at 10:30 this morning. So stand by.